Hey guys, today I want to talk about online marriages. We talked about this way back when, and we're going to touch on it even more today. We're going to go more in depth with this because today I got some information about online marriages that had taken place in the past and what happened, at least with two of them, actually three. Okay, one of them did make it. Okay, they're still together. They said everything's working out great. I've heard from this guy a few times. He never met the girl. He met her when he got here, and he's been together since. Now the other two didn't work out as well. They didn't work out well at all. In fact, they were kind of a disaster. One of the guys said that, he was basically sold a false bill of goods. When he got here, the girl looked totally different than what he had, talked to online and everything. I guess she had tons of makeup on. When he got to the airport and saw her, she looked a little bit dumpy. She wasn't that cute, and he just said they didn't really have that much in common as he had thought. And as a warning to you guys, there are millions of girls over here that are single that will date a guy in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and even 80s in some cases. Over here, there's plenty of women over here, and beautiful women that'll treat you decent. So don't think that you have to marry the first girl over here because you're older and you're not that great looking. Because back home, we're used to having American women kind of shun us when we hit a certain age. Like, they don't even want to touch you. You hit 60 years old, a lot of American women don't want to touch you, especially if they're younger. They just don't want to deal with you. They just do not want to even go near you. But anyway, I did want to touch on this because, these online marriages, that's for really desperate people, let's face it. A lot of people, you should meet your girl. You should come over here and spend months with them. If you plan on getting married, what I say is if you're gonna come over here and you want to get married, at least date the girl, for like 6 months or whatever, or a year or whatever. Have her move in for a while or whatever. See how it works out, and then go from there. See where it goes. And then if it doesn't work out, then this, like we said, there's millions and millions of women out there that you can move on with, and that's okay too. It's not something bad to break off with a girl, and it's not something bad for a girl to break off with a man. It happens every day. Some relationships just don't work out. But these online marriages, they should be banned. They should literally be banned, because it's a disaster waiting to happen. Because these guys, a lot of these guys have never met these girls. A couple of them, of the guys I talked to in the past, way back when it first started out, a couple of the guys had met them, but they hadn't seen them because of COVID, and they wanted to get married so bad. And I was like, dude, slow down. If the girl's pushing you to get married, there's a reason why she's pushing you, and it's because she wants to lock this down because it's a good thing for her. But it might not be a good thing for you, because it might be all about money for her family or what have you, or her family's pushing her into that relationship or what have you. You got to be careful today. A lot of guys come over here, and I've talked to many people about this here, and this is a real disaster waiting to happen. Is that a lot of guys tell me, oh man, Steve, I met this girl online, she's the one for me, she's the one, I know she's the one, and that should be like a red flag right there when you think that you haven't even met her in person. You need to just say, you know what, I need to wait till I get there and see what this is all about. Then maybe get married. But some of these guys, man, they as soon as they land here, they meet up at the airport and they start doing all the marriage preps, and getting everything ready and doing all that right away. And that's a disaster. Trust me, it's a disaster. Years ago, back in the 80s, I learned my lesson. I married a woman. I was with her for almost 10 years, I think it was. I forget how many years it was. It was quite a long time, and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And I accepted it. I moved on. And we were together for quite a long time. I'd come over here. I'd talk to her, actually through the mail. They didn't have internet back then. But we had talked, wrote back and forth, called each other and stuff, and then we decided to get married. I would get her on a fiance visa. I took her to the States, but we got married here in a church, not legally, but so her family could see it before she left, and then we got married legally when I got back to the States. And it ended up not working out well. I think after we got married, I kind of realized she really wasn't the person that I was looking for, to be honest with you. And she just went her merry way, while she was married, looking for other people. I'll just say that. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out at all, And I had a daughter from that, and I'm happy that I had a daughter from that. But I mean, in the end, looking back, I would never do that again. I would never do that again. But I mean, that was when I was younger, more naive. Now I'm older, and I'm still seeing older people make those same mistakes that I made when I was in my 20s. So why would you make those mistakes again? Or when you see your friends. When I was young back then, I was looking at my friends, watching my friends go through marriages and going through divorces and stuff like that. And I probably should have paid more attention to that. That you really need to pay attention to the woman more to see if it's going to work out, to see if she clicks with you for real, and look for the red flags and stuff. You see the red flags sometimes, but you're so mesmerized by either the sex, her beauty, or maybe she's just playing games with you, and she's trying to make you think that she's the one. She's telling you things and that sound nice to you, and you're like, oh man, this is the woman for me. And then as soon as you put a ring on her finger, it's all done. They say there's 3 rings in a marriage. There's the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffer ring. Remember that 3rd one, because that's the one that matters the most. Are you going to have suffering? I don't want to have suffering if I get married, and that's why I'm careful even today. You really, really got to pay attention. And these guys that did this online marriage stuff, man, that's a mistake. That's really a mistake. It makes you wonder about these people, because who in their right mind would get married to somebody that they hadn't met yet? It reminds me of the Moonies. Remember the Moonies? The Moonies were this group. It was a Unification Church, and it was this guy, Reverend Sun Young Moon. I guess it was like a church or cult or whatever you want to call it. And what happened was, he would have these mass weddings, okay? And a lot of people were attracted to that because they were like, well, geez, I don't know if I can find somebody, so hey, I'm going to join up with this Unification Church. And, it was kind of like stupidity talking up there. And these 300 people will get matched up with somebody other than their nationality. So if you were Swedish, you would get hooked up with maybe a Korean woman or a Japanese woman or something like that, or a Chinese woman, and they would fix you up with, because they believed in mixing all the races, because that's what they believed in. It was part of their teachings in the Unification Church. A lot of people don't know that. They just thought that they randomly hooked you up with somebody. Usually it was somebody that was like totally the opposite of you. If you had really white skin, they would hook you up maybe with a Filipino, or maybe they would hook you up with a black woman or whatever. But it was people that were quite the opposite of you. And that's what they did. And it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. I don't know why, but when I hear this stuff with these people that are okay with getting, married like that really quick, and want to, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. But it does remind me of the Moonies, where, a lot of nuts would join that. And I think sometimes we have to think, like, look at ourselves and say, what am I going to look like if I do this? What is my family going to think? What are people going to think, if I do this? What are my friends going to think? And some of you guys are saying, well, screw my friends. I really don't care. Then you rush in and say, maybe I should have thought about that before, because that's probably why they think that. Because look at the mistake I made. Look how this turned out. It didn't turn out well. Remember, guys, you don't have to be afraid over here when you get here. If the girl breaks off with you and leaves you, there's another 3 million women or more that are single looking for a guy just like you. Just like you. Remember that. Don't be afraid, because it's not something you should be afraid of, guys. Not at all. Like I said, there's plenty of women. Be happy. Don't worry about it. But anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless, guys.